in one of the, well, him getting caught out lost them the game. And this is something which we have seen from Leave occasionally. I think that late game team fights haven't always been the most consistent, so RA, they find themselves 1-0 up in this series. EDG, they're currently in series score 1-2. You can see that down on the bottom of the screen there. Now, if they drop to 3 losses, it makes their job really, really hard. Yeah. Because once you get to that 3-loss margin, you kind of need to win all of your remaining series. Because you have 7 series total, you want over a 50% win rate because 50% of the teams go through, 4 out of 8. You need to get 4 wins. 3 losses is your maximum. EDG, if they lose this next game, they're on death's door.
Gets very difficult indeed. Again, there's no guarantees because everything gets a bit messy down here, but still, it's not what you like to see, especially for a team that had looked to be improving this split, but it seems to be falling apart again just that little bit. They are on blue side this time around, so maybe things will change up there. Bans have come on through, some pretty key ones in there. I'll note the Lilia ban from EDG, didn't want to first pick it, and of course Xiaohao would snatch it up, you'd imagine, an R1 or 2. Instead, they will first pick the Corki themselves. They'll get the Renekton that was banned away last game,
so
though,
they're going to go
debating the brand.
They'll go towards that brand, and you're likely looking at a Yone on 3 now for Vikla too. So you can get yourself that Yone, which is fine, into the Corki. You've got that brand with a really good CC bot in top side. So brand is likely having a winning top lane because Xiaoshu is on that Renekton. Xiaoshu was an incredible top laner in that first game. I think that he was my MVP, even if he only got one vote from the LPL official. So Solo Kill going to lock in that Gnar again. It can do fine versus that Gnar, but I do think that the Renekton still can bully out that lane and has kill trades against him in best case scenario. So EDG need to be afraid of this top side of the map currently. The Zyra is fine for some AP threat. I feel like they're lacking a lot of engage now though, so it does again mean that you're probably seeing a lot of engaged supports being banned in the second round. Alright, they either lock the Yone now or they can lock themselves a priority of the other roles and see what gets through the bans next time.
I'll also note that Solo Kill, for all he had a very good lane last time around, was pretty much invisible in every team fight. We saw, what, one Gnar ultimate onto Vikla one time, and that was kind of all I remember from that last game. It wasn't particularly easy around the Baron pick, got isolated and taken out when he looked for a flank there, so I do need to see better out of Solo Kill this time around, especially if they are going for this more limited, or what's the word here, conditional engage that they have got so far. I think the Zeri for Asum makes some sense as well. Can skate around some of these plays and try and avoid things like the Gnar as well with some good placement and a good use of the E.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to also see the Ezreal banned away. Ezreal or Kai'Sa I think are quite valuable here for Leave because they're repositioned and they have okay laning phases versus that Zeri. So I'd imagine one of them gets taken away by Rare Atom. Of course, worth noting, EDG banning away bot lane champions as well. That Zeri is a flex pick between mid lane and bot lane. So there is a chance that Vikla picks that one up as well. So RA, they could choose to put that Zeri in bot lane. That's completely fine. What they might end up doing is locking Nautilus on 4, so it's fine, or whatever support they want there. You want something engagey, and then use that Zeri as a flex pick between mid-bot as that last pick.
Yeah. And again, obviously, it's unlikely in this game, but we haven't even said Zeri top from the likes of Zeus into Cassante. Could be a pretty miserable matchup for the Cassante, but I don't think that's likely to be the case this time around. But worth noting that Zeri in general is starting to once again become a flexible option. So the last ban is here. The Ziggs before that. I wonder whether they continue on that potential bot lane pinch, and they are going to ban out their Ezreal. They're seeing what you do. Well, I think it will be that Nautilus lock-in, and they'll leave it to be an option there.
So I was saying that RA should ban that one out, because I think that Leave can get a good value out of that, but I was like, I got a second. Yeah, that would be really good for RA on the other side. So they're going to use that Zeri as that last pick flex. Between mid lane and bot lane, it's fine into that Corki. You typically take the barrier and you try and look for a hard level 1 trade to get some more presence in lane. You do lose that teleport, but you can be strong side with people roaming towards you, so you don't need to teleport across the map in the same kind of level. EDG with their bot lane left to lock in have some difficult answers to look towards now. The Braum is fine into the Nautilus at least, but it does leave them lacking engage.
Yeah, they've got great disengage, and I think if they lock in something with a bit of poke here, Varus maybe? Maybe they can look to do it that way. Okay. Again, it's more conditional engage with the Aphelios at least. If you've got Gravitum, you can look for the engage. If you've got Mega Gnar, you can look for the engage. Braum and Zyra if you tag the right skill shots. But it's not easy. It requires a barrier to execution, which I'm not convinced EDG can meet.
It's a great day, Sam, because I get to talk now about my fun Aphelios ability names. Because what you could see, oh, the Gravitum also, you mean the Moonlight Varus, because it roots everyone? Every flavor of Aphelios gun has a different flavored ultimate too.
I remember workshopping with with you many years ago now.
Folks, we now have like a return to the 2022 spring meta of Jinx Aphelios. So we get to come back to that one. Hyper carries back into the bot lane. It does mean that EDG, they are not looking forward to, they don't really look for engages with this kind of comp. What they do, though, is allow Leave to just run forwards and be the nucleus of this team comp. Problem I have with that is it's really easy for the brand to kill your carry through your front line as well. The only thing that's going to save EDG from that is if the Braum Shield blocks the brand ultimate. If Xiaohao can get around that, it can be really, really important in these team fights. So that's going to be the status of the big team fights later on. EDG looking to play around their AD carry. They tried to do that in the game 1. I don't really know if Leave has been deserving of being played around so far, though. He hasn't been that clutch. On the other side, I guess you can say that RA were clutch in that last game, but you have to say, though, they were needed to be clutch.
Jue back on the Nautilus as well, into the Braum this time around, so a harder matchup in lane. Last game was flashing forwards at level 1 to get that kill onto Leave, and then there was the dives afterwards. We'll try and maybe play a little bit more for the lane this time around, get that Aphelios up and running. As we said, again, EDG drafting something with a little bit more barrier to entry, harder to execute. Nearly onto the rift. The music's going, the lights are on. Game 2 about to be kicking off in proper fashion. EDG on the verge of a very, very difficult road to get out of Nirvana Group, and RA about to prove some doubters wrong, perhaps, if they can only claim one more game.
RA, they are currently at 2 and 1. It would see them through into a very strong point in this Nirvana Group, all to play for left in this series.
Very vocal fans. Again, the Gyos for EDG in particular, as ever, very loud. RA, though, coming to throw a few vocal punches of their own. Feeling pleased, I'm sure. Relieved as well after a game 1 that did eventually go their way.
Important moment which just happened there. So when you are a melee versus ranged character, and this does apply to the Mininar as well, but also applies to stuff like Jace, Lucian, Quinn when you play against them. Sure, all of the AD carry top lanes, the ranged top laners, you often want to get brush control for the melee champion, because if you get the ranged champion, you can step beyond the wave, step out of the brush, auto attack you, step back into the brush to drop minion aggro. You basically can't approach the wave. So what happened there was Dway went up to secure that top lane brush, swept out a ward to make sure that Solarkill doesn't have control that. And also, the last hit on the ward means that Xiaoshu will hit level 2 at the very end of the first wave rather than the first melee minion of that second wave. So Xiaoshu getting a decent advantage from the level 1 there, weirdly, through just a good use of a sweeper.
Super valuable that, and Xiaohao actually was passing towards top side as well to potentially save her against that option there. And I see you spotted something else as well.
So it's just that we normally get those like 5-stack level 1s to help with those wards. JJ doing, again, newer era of Zyra pathing, where you don't just go for the straight path from your first camp, just right across the other side of the map, immediately invading, which means that Xiaohao, who is going from bot side to top side, is going to be a little bit slower on this point. He's going to lose an entire quadrant.
Worth noting, however, that Xiaohao knows this is happening because there was a really good ward placed behind the red buff to spot the Zyra going in, so it won't go over and contest camps that have already gone. We'll be able to trade on the other side by taking away the camps that JJ has left up on, of course, the bottom side of the map.
Yeah, so the thing is, I think that Xiaohao, he would have loved to get towards that top side anyway, is the thing. This is another thing which happens, by the way. Aphelios is not a champion at level 1, doesn't have an ability besides switching between weapons, which is a bit of a pain. Xiaohao's going to even up in terms of that farm, but, JJ has still stopped him going towards that top side of the map, which is the most important thing. Xiaoshu was looking to get a crash in, and now he has not ended up getting the memo. He's pushed in when he shouldn't have.
Gets hit by the E, gets chunked out pretty heavily, and will going to stick around in the lane with the health pop. It's still not a particularly fun moment with the wave in a really awkward position.
Yeah, so Xiaoshu kind of forced out from that top lane wave and taking a little bit of a bad trade. Xiaohao now on bot side, though, have Leave and Wing picked up the memo too. They don't have that barrier, they have the heal, so not all of their combat summoners available. Assume doesn't have to tank the tower, so the damage onto him is kind of decorative. Jue and Xiaohao are full HP. This could be dangerous.
Jue not taking the aggro quite yet. Flash away from Leave. Keeps him alive for now, but the hook afterwards is big. First blood still going the way of Leave. And Braum damage early on is ridiculous. Can't get the last auto. Leave gets another. I mean, Braum, of course, Wink the real winner here, as Xiao have to flash away. Rare Atom. Oh no!
Vickless has ended up recalling from mid as well. Winkens are burning down. So Xiaohao gets that one. Leave can't walk up with his HP as it stands. He can maybe try and get himself. He didn't have the Caliber. If he had the Caliber, he could fire off that moonshot towards him, that long range shot. But Xiaohao gets something, but it's still disaster. I think that JJ doing this topside clear on Rare Atom's side of the map means that RA just don't adapt their plan well. They're throwing a curveball, which is, okay, you're not going from bot lane to top lane Xiaohao, you have to go into the other quadrant, and I don't think they responded very well. They're trying to dive at Aphelios Braum. They get a huge amount of stacks onto Dway right at the start of this. He knows he's dying at this point. He flashed in, and then the shield ends up getting a good amount of value too from Wink, but honestly, just the passive from Wink also being incredibly potent, and Leave and Wink just massively outplay. They outstep everything they need to.
Wink blocked every auto that would have killed the Aphelios there from the Jinx. Kept trying to step behind it, could not get behind it, and Wink does eventually go down, was waiting on the Q cooldown, doesn't quite get it, and does at least spare some of the blushes that would have been a little bit redolent otherwise.
So JJ now in bot side to make sure they can defend the crash. Leave no summoners though.
There comes the turnaround though onto the Nautilus, who just gets murdered in place. Leave about to be donated a kill. Nope, JJ gets it. Will be the burn, I think, on the Faded Ashes securing that one.
Yeah, JJ gets himself on the board as well. So EDG, they get themselves very, very powerful point in this bot side. Alright, so this is what we were saying at that level 1. You know, we're saying, okay, so JJ doing, again, the newer thing that we're seeing on Zyra. You take that first camp, and then you go onto the other side of the map, because you take player camps so quickly. Vixla can kill with a passive auto. Didn't quite get himself that full charge. If that was full charge, that almost certainly kills with the W tag afterwards. No flash for Vixla now. Fails on that one, but going back to the jungle point, Xiaohao knew that JJ was going towards the top side. It doesn't change anything. The fact is that RA didn't adapt their whole team's plans. They pushed in on top side. They went for a dive bot side against the Braum. Yes, I guess it's better for Xiaohao on an individual level, but RA didn't adapt as a team.
Yeah, and again, I appreciate looking for the dive. Still cost Leave some CS and stuff, and there was the barrier down, so you can see what the angle is, but it was always going to be a tricky dive, and always likely going to be at least a 1-for-1. But this time around, Wink did enough to block out the damage, did enough to hold on and make that one a lot messier than it might otherwise have been. And now actually they return again, it goes wrong again, and now this Aphelios, only a couple hundred gold ahead, yes, but could have been out of the game, very much isn't.
Especially when he's the core of the team composition, so like he'll getting traded on quite hard here. Also another big thing for RA, you know, that they have better engage on the whole, they have a really good point of power for this brand against this composition too. They're getting themselves the grubs, that's important, but their Renekton isn't that far ahead. The Renekton needs to be ahead. This is a pick that we've seen a lot in the LPL, and we've been tentatively giving out Renekton passes, much like we do for the, you know, the Corki pass back in spring, which was quite a rare thing to give out, the Nidalee pass currently too. But when we see the Renekton, it is not enough to just sit there pretty and go even. You need to win lane hard enough that you can win the game after that point through team fights. So Xiaoshu has some work to be done still, is slightly far ahead. If he can use these grubs to get some tower plates to get significantly far ahead, maybe he can be the mid-game menace, which RA need him to be. Quite hard to do that into a Zyra and a Braum, but it's the task he's been put with.
JJ has now got the ultimate available. You could see the worsening things for Summon Dwayne looking to go further forwards as Xiaoshu will ult here and try and do some proxy farming. Xiaohao is around, so this wouldn't be a 1v1 for long necessarily.
Xiaohao's just out of vision, just out of the fog of war. JJ on that bot side has the level 6. This ain't looking too pretty for the Jinx.
Then comes the Stranglethorn. The turnaround, though, was pretty huge. Tower shot not quite enough. And Leave uses a barrier to survive the tower shot afterwards as well. EDG, clean dive in bot lane.
Leave throws out the blender, gets his chakram spinning up, and it is an unlimited blade works for the Aphelios on the bot side as he gets himself to 2-0 and 3 after he ended up getting killed in a late game scenario on that Smolder, which kind of threw the game away for EDG to Leave. He's gonna go. Oh, so no,
execute.
He's doing this for the quick recall. He's doing it for the quick recall because he'd have to back off, which take him about 4 or 5 seconds, and then he'd have to recall for another 8. It's probably about 12 seconds. His death timer is lower than it would have taken him to walk back and get a successful recall. That's genuinely the right thing, and because he died in early game, he gets the home guards as well. So Leave, you might say that's troll. That is genuinely more valuable. It gets him onto the map quicker.
Let's have a look at this dive again because it is very cleanly executed.
It is, and I mean, you get that Zyra ultimate underneath everyone. The heal comes through from the Braum, which keeps him alive, and even with the ignite on Leave, he ends up surviving through that barrier. So Leave and crew showing RA how to do a bot lane dive, because apparently RA can't do it.
Clutch use of summoners gets them all out alive. They get both kills. They get the fast reset afterwards. You can't ask for that much more, really.
I like that kind of stuff. You don't see that many kind of like interesting bits of tech like that anymore, so I appreciate that one. Taking a bigger stock stock of the game, though, we do see that Renekton is really far ahead. Solo Kill doesn't have flash, and he has currently got himself a position where he's zoned out of top side. There are wards in the enemy in their own jungles. They know that Xiaohao and Jue are here, but can they find an engage?
Mega, this could be dangerous. They get the hook out to try to burn him down before he hits Mega. Just about survives. Can't quite get the kill. The Pyroclasm flying around, though, could prove problematic. Vikla chunked out very low as Xiaoshu flashed on in, gets a Kolomik to murder a couple.
Xiaoshu picks up a kill. If you didn't know, by the way, much like Kennen, when you press the Renekton ultimate, you briefly stop in place. If you flash, you break that animation. So he flashes, gets that instant Q with his rage attacking up as well to get himself that slick combo. On the other side, we are still getting a huge amount of gold going over to this Aphelios, though, and that is going to be a huge issue. It's going to be an Aphelios stood behind all of the plants from the Zyra, and of course the Braum shield from Wink. RA giving up so much gold, and with the Severum coming up as well, it's going to make that crescendum stacking that much easier. RA have given a huge amount of gold over to this Aphelios. I hope they know how to shut him down in late game. That is the core of EDG's composition, who is nuclear now.
They have got tools to do it, but Leave was asked to do a lot of work this game. He's been donated kills, he's been donated gold. He has survived a number of attempts on his life that did not leave him badly scarred. But he's still going to try and play Emperor Palpatine this game and take over the galaxy.
Somehow Palpatine returned. Yeah. I can't believe that little lore tidbit literally only existed within Fortnite. You know, anything that happens in Fortnite is technically canon to their universes. The only place where you could find basically Palpatine's speech to the galaxy that he had returned is literally in the Fortnite game.
Oh, really?
So it was a limited availability Fortnite game, which was the bit of lore which Star Wars needed to advance the story. That, yeah, somehow Palpatine returned.
Fortnite?
In Fortnite, yeah. In Fortnite Battle Royale. Yeah, that's the thing.
I've heard of marketing strategies before. I've heard of mixed media approaches. That was not one I was necessarily expecting.
Okay, important moment there, folks. Grub's on the top side, so Grubageddon on the table for RA. Not going to get it, though. Leave has moved to that side of the map, which means that probably RA wants to be moving away from that. Xiaoshu getting more plates on bot side. I don't know whether he's got Demolish. I can't remember if he's got that down there, but he's going to get himself even more plates. So it really is top lane versus bot lane snowball and getting funneled those resources. RA, they are going to get dunked on a little bit here on top side if they stay under this turret. Assume you can't just ult the wave. You need to hit a champion in it. It's quite hard for him to get good wave clear. He's left alone here. I think Assume's overstayed. You need to know you're on weak side. They don't. He's going to die.
Teleporting in. They want to try and play this one out. There come the plants, and they're going to turn it away from it. Assume taken pretty low as the Calibrum into Crescendum combo does get a decent jump. Another Calibrum here.
He ends up hitting the Sentry turret tags 2 autos. That's 2 auto attacks with all of this AD built up from Leave already. He gets himself the moonshot afterwards. So Assume just getting absolutely trashed by Leave at that point. Xiaoshu is here. They do know that ward is in that brush, so EDG know what they're doing. They're not going to over push and Leave. Accuracy with those skill shots working out so far. RA just about survive. They call the teleport for Xiaoshu though, which is a bit of a pain. Xiaoshu doesn't end up taking that turret and bot side, so RA still without a turret taken so far in this game.
Yeah, a bit frustrating for them. Of course, the Renekton is now in a scary point of power, and that's great. The problem is, I think the Aphelios, particularly considering the role in this game, is a much more valuable place to have your gold, even if you are often asked as Renekton to get ahead of the curve. Doing so at the expense of your Jinx, I don't know.
It's a problem. At least Assume we'll be able to just commit the ultimate to the fights, but this Jinx is going to be so far behind where this Aphelios is. It's not dissimilar to what happened last game with, you know, the Ashe and the Smolder. The Ashe got really far ahead, but the thing is, like, even then the Smolder outscales the Ashe in a lot of ways, especially when the Ashe wasn't hitting those ultimates. The Jinx and the Aphelios, it's not like the Aphelios is outscaled by the Jinx. They do similar things in the late game depending on the scenario. It's just about even, I guess. And now we're getting to the point where Leave gets to go towards first time in Infinity Edge very, very easily. It's on the board. He has those tier 2 boots as well, so it's harder to catch him and it's harder for him to be locked out of a fight. RA, they're in such a big problem state now. You have an Eclipse on your Renekton, which might be able to help get through some of the shielding because you've used the empowered W for Renekton onto a barrier. It breaks the shield. That can be important, but I don't think that Xiaoshu is going to have an easy time at all. He is getting to the point where, you know, he has about 10 minutes left to impact this game at his point of power. Aphelios is not going to stop farming, though.
Aphelios decides to go for the Infinity Edge first this game, going for more of that raw AD and crit value.
Yeah,
we did occasionally see things like the Collector first if you're going to really like level up some of those lethality stats early. There were some options there in terms of what you built, but has gone towards a slightly more later game option.
Ever since the lethality became a flat armor pen again, it's pretty much been matched second in pretty much every single Aphelios build. But yeah, I think that Collector getting some of its stats nerfs means that it's less likely to go towards that. And yeah, we did mention that first item Infinity Edge just before that point. It's also going to be coming in for the Jinx. It feels like it's such a good item with the AD and the crit so early on. It's a massive point of power. Shower getting a good chunk onto JJ. Of course, only gets the 2 skills there, so not going to be that much. Guardian Shield helping from Wing to make sure that JJ is not going to get completely taken out. He's got only 5 seconds to respond to this Herald spawning, though. With that chunk onto him, assume with that ultimate might have forced him to recall. The Herald could be started here by Rare Atom, and they'd be using that to break up in the map.
Does have Gromp available, and that is a pretty good healing option. I'm not sure they get towards the Honey Fruit, though, so JJ will not be in the river setting up plants, though, which is a bigger deal as well. So no real opportunity to set up the legions of gardening and horticultural destruction. So will be a Herald claimed by RA, and might be a way of them getting through a tower. They have been struggling to do so far this game.
The photosynthesizing friends. You can see something which Leave is doing with his weapon management here as well. Typically, when you have blue-purple, your utility guns of the Infernum and the Gravitum, you put both onto low ammo, so you can kind of like put both of these utility spells out, and then you can quickly switch over. Typically, you want that Infernum around this point as soon as you get that Infinity Edge, because the ultimate, the Mega Infernum Bomb, just starts popping heads beyond that point. So keeping that one in inventory and getting rid of the Gravitum for now, very, very important. Also, when you're this fed, when you have Severum Infernum with the Flamethrower spreading across the Onslaught as well, it's a really important way to get AoE teamfight damage down. So this is the way that he says, I want to get a pentakill, basically.
It gets hit by a big one. Would love to reset. Has yet to make that happen. Braum and JJ walking up here to try and interrupt that. The Wrath of the Titans being used to slow down the Braum, and a quick dredge line away will keep way safe.
Isn't it Titans Wrath? Wrath of the Titans, I believe, is a movie.
I think Titans Wrath probably exactly what it is. Yeah,
I think that's a movie.
That's a very bad title. It's a very bad movie as well.
I remember. There was
Dad really enjoyed it.
Apparently, the remake. Well, so the remake was bad. I think the original was meant to be somewhat of a cult classic. But, okay, so alright, they do get themselves top tier onto Vikla. Vikla has been so quiet this series. I thought that Vikla would be a game-determining factor for RA, because Cryan has been struggling in his own way, and Vikla's shown some good games. Vikla's not been great this series.
Yeah.
His Corki last game ended up having a good gold lead at the end, but his early game team fights left a lot to be decided, and now RA, they really are looking at Xiaoshu. For me, their MVP of game 1 to start picking up and carrying. We do have an Infinity Edge for Assume. That is important. It means that one single target kind of crits can do a lot of work. Who did that scuttle?
I believe it went over to Lilia.
It went over to the Zyra. Dragon has spawned now. Plants starting to come in, and the Poke's starting to come in from EDG. They have the plants. They have themselves the Corki rockets as well. Herald spawned in a weird spot going towards bot side. RA using that to at least take the turret. Xiaoshu looking for a flank. This is the first 5v5 of the game. Meganar full flow right now for solo kill.
Yeah, it's wearing down though. He's not going to be here in time. Dragon taken by the Jinx of all people. Xiaoshu want to get to the back line. JJ is going to be flashing away, trying to stay alive. In danger. Stranglehold comes on down. Cannot get far enough away. Is eviscerated. And Jinx picks up the kill. Excited now. Look at Xiao over the wall. Could look to flash. Get something more as Cryan in turn forced to flash away. Leave. Stays alive. Loses his flash too.
Leave losing his flash is a huge loss there for EDG. How the hell does your 2,000 gold up AD carry and Leave not impact that first 5v5 of the game? RA massively walk away with the fight. That's the Calorum, the ace in the Calorum coming out from EDG, from Leave to get that extra auto attack through, but Leave didn't impact that game. RA walk away with a 1 fight and the Dragon.
And Nara, I just don't think was there. Solo kill was bot lane as the tower went down, so it was a 4v5.
And you know, he had that teleport, he had the full Meganar, he just didn't end up approaching that fight. The Herald was down there, he ends up leaving to try and get onto a fight angle, but he's just not there in time. You can see that the kill comes through, and because you get that kill on the objective, you do get that first stack of Get Excited for Assume. Vikla, I think, makes the right choice to go through aggressively here too. The fact that Leave ends up flashing is a big loss here for EDG. If he ends up, you know, going into the next fight and he doesn't live because he doesn't have that flash, RA could start snowballing with the shutdown. It's not a huge shutdown, but the shutdown on his head.
Important to note here as well that that was a fight before the second damage was completed for EDG, particularly for Leave. He was still not at that completed Lord Doms. Now he has it. Maybe then it's a different fight. But that wasn't the case in the last one. And he gets some gold and some key members. That Renekton continued to be a menace. And also, we kind of said it, the barrier to entry, the barrier for execution for EDG is pretty high, and they have chosen a pretty big boy roller coaster, so to speak, and I don't know whether they're quite at that height requirement to ride.
You must be this mechanically tall to ride this roller coaster. EDG. The thing is, you know, even if he had those 2 items, this is the problem. I feel like Leave needs to be able to stand and shoot. He didn't get any auto attacks off at the start of that fight. He didn't lead off with the ultimate or anything like that either. So Leave needs to see more from him. He's been given the resources. He has those 2 items, as you've said. Now, RA, they still have the flash on Xiaoshu as well. He has 2 items. He is very, very fed. He'll be able to shred down the first target, which he hits. And also, finally, we see Vikla influencing a fight in the way that we'd like him to as well. Flashes forwards. If he can keep doing that with, again, the surprisingly high burst damage coming out from Azeri with that ultimate and the Shiv, maybe that can be a game-changing factor. As we see a bit of a ping-pong in mid lane. Baron spawning soon. Don't really think we're going to see that Baron rush. You potentially can. Alex very good at killing that Zarya, but you shouldn't realistically be rushing that Baron when you're losing the side lane so hard. Xiaoshu need to see whether he can, again, start influencing the map, pushing out a lane safely and getting EDG to a point where they can't defend vision, where they can't defend all their angles into a fight.
What's Z-Line expecting out of his sim? Is it going to be Rapid Fire or maybe a Phantom Dancer?
I think it should be the Phantom Dancer. I think the moving speed is really nice versus this kind of comp where you're trying to outspace limited engage. I think that can be really, really important.
I think that's fair. Unlikely to be a Hurricane for all that. Used to be a big Jinx
it could also be a good Hurricane angle because there's a lot of people plumped up. The Aphelios is going to be stood next to the Braum. We can't help, but I think honestly just I think Phantom Dancer is really good for Jinx right now as it stands, but that's a good question to have. All the same, when you have the Infinity Edge and the Zeal, it just really helps you in terms of just getting the best blend of stats. This was, funnily enough, this is the build that you saw back in Season 3 and Season 4, back for a lot of these AD carries too, and Infinity Edge was such a good first item, and the Zeal was really, really good after that point, just to give you the extra crit and attack speed you'd missed out on in that first item.
Well be. Vikla now on the side of him doesn't have the teleport, but as Zeri, your ability to traverse the map is still relatively okay. The issue is if you're on the bot side, you're still going to have to wall ride a few times to get towards, say, a Baron fight, should that become more of a problem in, say, 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I like to consider stuff like the Zeri wall ride effectively a semi-global. If you end up going around the back of Baron Pit or over the top of Dragon Pit, you can get about a fifth of the map just off of 1E, and it's not instant, but it means that you're just so much quicker to the play. Something like Misfortune, who's back in meta as well, particularly in the LPL, her Strut does a similar thing because you have such high movement speed, to the point where you have to consider it as a semi-global-ish, because it just means you're quicker to plays than you should be on other champions. Getting to the point now where Dragon's up in 40 seconds, Baron is already available. We don't see RA pushing out the top lane just yet. They did get the push in that bot side of Xiaoshu, potentially looking for an angle onto solo kill. Don't know whether solo kill has a ward in that brush. He's just walking by. Xiaoshu very, very powerful as it stands as this 4v4 evolves in the mid lane where we're just clearing through waves. And no, nothing happened in that top side. Xiaoshu looking to push that out.
Second item's pretty much completed across the board, but we'll note that Xiao has the Initialise, whereas JJ does not, which could prove problematic. But comes on in onto Wink. Turn around on. We saw the Nautilus getting punished earlier on. It's a rough matchup in lane, but right now, less of a problem.
So, folks, if you're looking for things to look out for in team fights to make yourself feel clever and understand the game, because it can be difficult with League of Legends. One of the big things you need to look for is Wink's shield usage.
Oh, might be also a Mega Gnar usage as solo kill. Solo kills Dway pretty much. A little bit of an assist coming in from the side of the Zyra and Braum.
So that's going to be a flash from solo kill and that Mega Gnar use. You still have the Jinx ult. You still have the Brand ult too. This is not a one fight. If they plump up the pit, this could be over for them.
Could be in danger. Baron secure, but the turnaround's still big. Xiaoshu into the backline. Finally goes down. Vikla trying to trade out. Goes down. The Aphelios flashing on forwards. A triple kill and a blender. Here's a dish I made earlier. Quadra kill for Leave.
Leave gets the quadra kill because RA don't get the combo. They end up losing their engage, and Leave finally gets himself a team fight on this AD carry with so many resources to show exactly what the Aphelios can do in the late game. EDG, they walk away with that Baron, and now RA, that felt like the fight which could have just lost them. That is the fight that lost them the game. I think this is the one which will bring it to 3 games beyond this point. Beyond this now, it's going to be so much harder for Xiaoshu to determine these games. They don't have the Nautilus, and one of the big things I was talking about is that, you know, you want to see whether that Brand can get a combo through the Braum shield. It didn't really happen beyond that point. Dway just walking up and just getting monstered by solo kill is really disrespectful. Without that Nautilus ultimate available to go through that Braum shield as well, it's much harder to land these big abilities. Xiaoshu doesn't quite get in the right kind of timing. He gets in with the first slice and dice, but where's the follow-up? While all of this is happening, Leaf just pops the barrier and no one else manages to get in. Vikla gets himself at the gets himself right against 2 of the AD carries on the other side too. The mini Gnar kind of counts of that, and he gets shredded down too. So EDG, they just see RA plummet into them.
And now they have Baron. They have got themselves as Aphelios with all the gold in the world. And unless Leaf falls in good order, these fights are going to get very tricky.
God. Already, basically just off kills, EDG with a 4,000 to 5,000 Baron power play.
Oh,
Utterly absurd.
Aphelios.
So much of that gold in the Aphelios, yeah, because of the kills which came after the Baron, that quadra kill after that. As soon as the Baron fell, it all technically counts towards that Baron power play. RA, now they are really left wincing at the damage which has been done to them. Baron was taken, the Dragon was taken soon after that point too, so they don't even get to fight around that objective. They have to play through the lanes, and now, RA, what's the answer now? You know, EDG, they don't have their summoners on the Aphelios. That could potentially be a point of pain for them, and if Leave dies with now, 900 gold going over if he dies, that can be a huge factor in this next play. But RA, how do they get to him?
Have to be Tway, still got Flash, still got R. Maybe that's the play. Nautilus full sending to Valhalla and praying the rest of the team can follow.
So I have to see whether he can do that, whether Xiaohao can get himself an ultimate through the Braum shield. That's what we were trying to say before the game kind of ends.
Went wrong,
If you want to feel clever in these team fights, watch to see how the shield usage comes from Braum. If it blocks out that Brand ultimate, it can change the team fight, because you need that Brand ultimate to be doing huge damage. Xiaohao does have 2 going on 3 items. If he does get good damage, that can be the game-changing factor as well. It's not like Leave has a Guardian Angel or any defensive items. He is relying on Wink to
keep him alive, yeah.
Keep him alive, but that is easier said than done sometimes.
Barrier will be off cooldown shortly enough, and that's something. But again, we aren't looking at a Bloodthirst. We aren't looking at a Mortal Shield Bow quite yet. Nothing like that. So, is still theoretically an executable target. But that is, as we've said, easier said than done. And we were worried about EDG's ability to pull off a team comp like this. So far, so good. A great Baron fight has put them well in control of this game.
We'll say a lot of that is through the way that RA chose to approach that fight. When you see that team fight kind of clumped up in the Baron pit, if you just approach at the right kind of time together, you feel like the combo should still be able to make that competitive. And that's something which RA have typically done well, but feel like they just maybe panicked a bit much. JJ gonna ward out with the plants. That's one of the best things about Zarya. He can kind of use pseudo wards. They don't spot Xiaoshu though. They need to be careful of that. He has flash, he has ult, and here's the fight.
On to Braum. Xiaoshu pre-ulting to get some rage stacking. JJ still in difficult position. Leave way back. Solo kill will Mega Gnar the Renekton away. Slow down to Xiaoshu. He's going to have to flash on out from the Glacial Fissure as the pine trees courtesy of Sands of Braum would have spiked him up otherwise.
Yeah, and this is why I was questioning who gets onto the Aphelios. So you can say, well, maybe the Nautilus can. Well, Lee was standing far enough back, so he's countered that. And there's no teleport wards behind, really, EDG in a position they would have wanted to use. Victor just about living through there. He's found himself in a bit of a sad game, too. The ult almost comes through to kill JJ. Won't quite manage to do so. And R8 find themselves once again bleeding out gold. Almost, well, I mean, they're what, 9,000-ish gold behind now?
It's a long way back, yeah, exactly. 3 items on both those AD carries at this point. It's only going to get worse from here. And they really would like a 3rd item on their own AD carries at this point. Just look at that gold discrepancy between Assume and Leave.
That's insane. The fact that, and a lot of this comes back to that level 1, and we were calling it out as it happened. Okay, so JJ going over to the other side of the map, denying that top quadrant. Xiaohao can't pass from bot to top now. Okay, so that means that Xiaohao has to go take the enemy bot quadrant. So what happens with Xiaoshu pushing out top lane? Well, he's going to get a little bit dunked out in this laning phase in the very early part. Took a while for him to come online. Oh, but then we have to go for a bot lane dive to counter what's happening on the map. You're diving in a Aphelios Braum with heal barrier. That was just a huge misunderstanding from RA in that early game. And it does feel like just Leave and Wink ended up getting the better of the bot lane scenario. RA failed to adapt on the fly, and that is something we've occasionally criticized this team for. You don't always deal with the punches well and rolling with them. When plan A fails, sometimes it falls apart.
40 seconds until Ocean Dragon and overcome EDG. They just picked up a 4th item on Aphelios. Has gone towards the Yuntel Wild Bow as well to ensure that poke damage gets really scary with the bleed over time.
Is it the Yuntel Wild Arrows?
Wild Bow.
Wild Bow, right. I thought it was the Wild Arrows. So the Yuntel Wild Arrows. That's what I... So basically, it's kind of like a mini-second Infinity Edge.
Wild Arrows.
Yeah, the Wild Arrows. I thought so. Score 1 for the color caster. So what it means is it effectively acts as a mini-second Infinity Edge, because it doesn't do the same damage as the Infinity Edge, but if you crit, there's a bleed which happens over it. It's got a lot of good crit and a lot of good AD, which means that if you are someone that is not really looking for, the armor pen and the attack speed as much, and Aphelios doesn't always need that because he's such an ability combo and ability-based champion, you can go towards the Wild Arrow. This is an incredibly powerful point for him. And R8, again, the name of the game has been, the entire game, kill the Aphelios. How do they manage that now? Even the person they put their resources into in this Renekton is so far behind.
3 items at least completed for Vicar and Assume means they've got some damage themselves. It's just, you've got to kill Leave. There's no other way around it. If he gets to free fire, if he gets good timing, it's tricky. On a Severum Crescendum, he's pretty short range, so could prove difficult if he picks the wrong moment to step forward. Teleport behind right now from Xiaoshu. Looking to be on the other side, but that means it's a 4v5 right now with Solo coming from the flank onto potential Tway. Wink goes on forwards, doesn't find the engage, solo kill nearly the mega! Lands leave! Not again! This time he survives! Can't quite go down! They've not killed him! It looked like a moment of madness! He gets the Moonlight Vigil, and he will stay alive! Somehow, some way!
Leave goes down, but he does the damage. The late game mistake doesn't become egregious enough for EDG to lose the game. RA, they throw too many resources into the mouth of the Aphelios, and Leave ends up ruling the late game in a way he couldn't in that first game. This should be the game right here and now, but they back off. They think that the death time is too soon. The minions won't get there in time, and they go back towards the Baron. I'm so surprised. I feel like they could just end the game there.
I'm kind of there with you. I want to see that replay because I think Vikla missed 2 Qs that might have killed Leave there. We'll have a look. It got very close indeed. I thought it was over when that hook landed.
Okay, so I thought that hook, this is a godlike hook. The fact that this lands at all is a problem in late game. Wink goes forwards, but the teamfight shape is just all out of proportion. Leave goes forwards and gets hit by absolutely everything. Vikla manages to get across here, and then he ends up missing 1, missing 2. That would have killed Leave. Leave not, yeah, I mean, Vikla misses auto attacks. You can only do that on Zeri. Misses the auto attacks. Ends up saving Leave's life. That could have been the kill. Vikla could have ended this game, but sadly for him, it has been a poor series from the mid laner of Rare Atom.
Oh, and I think as well, Jinx couldn't quite get on top, and then the Brandol, I think, was mitigated somewhat by the Braum door as well. I was a bit more focused on Vikla, I'll admit. I need to go back and watch that to really break that one down further, but still, Leave Survive is down every summoner, though, and Wink is in a similar position. You do it all over again. Dwayne's got flash in ultimate. You can just kill off the Aphelios.
Yeah, the fact that Dwayne managed to find that without even using the flash is insane to me. EDG, the only way this competition works is if Aphelios is so strong, you have to engage onto him, which is exactly the case right now. It doesn't work unless you get so far ahead. They have managed to do that. Again, I think that is a credit to JJ for managing the map in the way that he did in the early game, and I think it's also discredit for RA for throwing so many resources into this bot lane and failing to do anything about it. RA, they're looking for another miracle engage, looking for another miracle hook. No barrier, no flash. Is that going to be enough for RA to finally kill this Aphelios?
GA complete as well. Another life. Even if the summoners are down, you've got to kill him twice. We've already seen how much it takes to do that in the first place. So, get dicey. Inhibitor down in the mid lane, as we saw at the end of that last play. Coming to play here, still a minute 30 on that one. The tower just disappears in the blink of an eye.
It is so much AD on Leave, so much ability to just keep shredding through these turrets. He's maxed out his lethality at this point. His attack speed is starting to go up as well with his stats that he levels up instead of the abilities. Leave's not here to do damage.
Teleport away as well from Vikla, who's not, sorry, Brian, he left. But the damage back is still huge, and despite the Corki leaving, they can't quite punish it.
I mean, Wink's also got himself the Warmog, so it means nothing. You get the recalls coming in from Rare Atom. They're going to be 3 inhibitors down. So EDG, they're going to walk in having blown nothing important, and now suddenly Leave has his barrier back up, and that could be the difference between him living and dying. Alright, they don't have a flank. It is just going to be straight up brawl. Try and kill the minions as well. It's going to be hard to manage that one. Xiaohao's going to try and get the E spread from those minions, but it's hard for him to even stand up again within E range.
No, you've got a flash on Xiaoshu, a flash on Dway, and a prayer. Inhibitor turret 1 about to fall. RA, you have to pull the trigger shortly, or it's all over.
That's the ultimate missing from that Infernum. Can't quite get it. The ultimate coming through from Xiaoshu. He's ramping up that rage. The minions are dying. The inhibitors are down. It's tutorial League of Legends, but RA are still standing just about.
About 3 inhibitors down, it's so difficult. Solar kill still a Megadar! Struggle Thorns onto 2! Huge damage back! Vikla into the backline. JJ goes golden, and already the damage is critical. Another inhibitor turret still about to fall. Flash on in, gets some damage, can't quite kill him off. Leave still with the GA, still standing. Solo kill gets the Renekton. It's a pair of boots as a final prize here. Nexus fall, EDG open up the series.
1-1 in this series down in the Nirvana group. It goes to late game, and it goes to EDG. Leave sparing the blush to this team a little bit. I feel like Wink honestly ends up doing a hell of a lot of the work to keep him alive. Of course, you have to on that Braum, but EDG, in such an important series for them, will bring it to 1-1 through their AD carry, but given those resources, I gotta say for Rare Atom, this will feel like a game which, again, they kind of threw to EDG in some ways. Giving that dive over early game was disaster, and I feel like even though they had those wards to spot out JJ very early on, we called it, saying, look, okay, Xiaohao, he has adapted his game plan. What about the rest of the team? They absolutely didn't. And also another thing which I'm feeling from Nymaera is, where has Vikla been in so many of these fights? He's tried to get those dives with the lightning crashes in, but it just hasn't worked out for them. It means that we go to 1-1. And folks, hello, welcome. These are our faces. I'm Alex, this is Sam. We're brothers. I'm Nymaera, that's Initialise. You might have seen us on LPL, LEC, a number of different things. And we, on the days where there's no official broadcast on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we use our co-streaming rights to cast it as though there was an official broadcast for these days. There are games all the way through the week, 7 days of games every week for LPL, so it means that some of them do fall through the cracks.